Yeah, Waldenström's macroglobulinemia belongs to the indolent B non-Hodgkin lymphomas. What is very important to know is that Waldenström's macroglobulinemia is a rare disease. So the incidence is just 1-2 cases per million per year. And what is also important to know is that Waldenström's macroglobulinemia is in some ways special compared to other nodal non-Hodgkin lymphomas such as follicular lymphoma, because these patients characteristically have high monoclonal IgM levels in their blood. And this means that actually they have a lot of problems caused by these high IgM serum levels, which can be hyperviscosity or neuropathy or even dizziness, brain symptoms and so on. One very important treatment option still is the combination of an anti-CD20 antibody, rituximab, with chemotherapy. So what is very popular actually is the combination of rituximab bendamustine. But we have, as in other indolent B non-Hodgkin lymphomas, also here the wish to get rid of chemo. So there's a strong tendency to develop chemo-free treatment approaches. And in this sense, ibrutinib is a very important new drug which was now approved for the treatment of relapsed patients with this disease, and also for patients first line who are not eligible for classical chemotherapy. And there's also one abstract here, which was in major aspects driven by the so-called European Consortium for Waldenström's macroglobulinemia, which is a pan-European network which commits itself to drive clinical research and patient care in this rare disease. And this shows actually that ibrutinib is also highly effective in patients who are rituximab refractory, which is a very important patient population, because all the patients get in some way rituximab, and when they don't respond, what do you do then? And then ibrutinib, as shown here at the EHA, is a very valuable treatment option. Yeah, this data platform was actually developed because, as I said, Waldenström's disease is a very rare disease. So there are actually more or less no really real-world data on how these patients are suffering, how these patients are actually treated outside of clinical trials. This is important. So what is actually the situation in the real world for these patients? And this is why actually this platform was developed, which actually includes patients who started their treatment between the years 2000 and 2011. And we included over 350 patients and have now really very nice data how patient care looks like in daily life in this rare disease. So with regard to the Waldenström's registry, what we do is actually that we now look very carefully at this data to get a sense actually what the patient and the treating physicians are doing. Because for us it's very important to know that, for instance, when we are developing clinical trials, that we are not developing these clinical trials, let's say, in a wrong direction, so against the wish of the community. So for us it's very important to, as I said, to get a feeling what is happening outside of clinical trials, what is working well with these patients in daily clinical life, where there is room for improvement. And we incorporate all these data into the design of novel clinical trials, which are continuously developed by the European Consortium for Waldenström's macroglobulinemia. So for instance, as an example, we now know that elderly patients with Waldenström's macroglobulinemia, based on the registry data, are not treated in a dose-intense way. So I think to set up a clinical trial which now tests dose-intense approaches in these elderly, quite often patients or morbid patients, I think is the wrong way. So this is why we think that these registry data are actually a platform or a basis for developing the right clinical trials to, at the end, improve clinical care for these patients.